We are live. Hey, how is it going? Lee Hayward here with the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Live Q&A for Friday, May 9th. And this is something that I do most Fridays. We have a live Q&A session here on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel. So we're doing another one now. And if you are tuning in, please let me know. Type into the chat window there as you pop onto our live stream here today. First off, let me know if this is coming through loud and clear and if you can hear me and see me coming through on your end. I would greatly appreciate it. And also let me know where you're tuning in from as you're popping onto our live stream. And just want to mention that last week, actually for the last couple weeks, we didn't have live Q&As here on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel because I was away attending a fitness seminar. And it's back again now, back to our regular routine here today. So let's see, we got Lee joining in, saying coming through loud and clear, much appreciated. And I'm just going to address the elephant in the room. You may hear some drumming in the background. My son Harvey is a drummer with the School of Rock, right? He's been playing drums now for the past 2 years. And the mood has just struck him to practice his drums while Dad is doing his live Q&A. Hey, who cares, right? Let it happen. Let it be, let it be. So he's down there. You may hear him banging out a few beats on the drums in the background. And if that is the case, it'll just add some more entertainment and value to our video chat here today. All right, who else we got joining in? We got Robert joining in. Welcome, Robert. Another regular to our video chat. Glad to have you joining in again. Again, as you're popping on, please let me know. Who else we got? John is joining in. Welcome, John. We got AJ joining in. Welcome. Again, regulars to our chat. Glad to see you joining in. And for those of you who are regulars, I want to welcome you back. It's always nice to have the regulars tuning in. And of course, if you're brand new to the Total Fitness Bodybuilding video chat, I want to welcome you. And I'll just give you a little heads up of how this works, right? This is something that I do most Fridays. We have a live at 5 Q&A where I go live at 5 p.m. Eastern time. That's Eastern time in North America, that is. And we answer your questions about fitness and nutrition. So if there's anything that you want to discuss regarding your workouts, regarding nutrition, regarding building muscle, losing fat, any specific challenges you may be going through with your health and fitness, whether that's injuries, aches and pains, overcoming plateaus, anything along those lines, feel free to type your questions and topics of discussion into the chat window, and I'll do the best that I can to help you out over the course of our chat today. And for those of you who are new to the channel and new to me in general, I've been around the fitness scene for quite a while. I started my very first bodybuilding website back in 1997. Started my first YouTube channel back when YouTube was just getting off the ground back in 2006. And since then, it's just kind of spiraled, right? I'm a former competitive bodybuilder myself, been competing since 1995. Did 15 bodybuilding shows and coached a lot of up-and-coming bodybuilders, including some IFBB pro bodybuilders. And in fact, this past weekend, I was actually training with one of my friends and fellow Newfoundland bodybuilder who I helped back in the day, Zed Adamo, and he's an IFBB pro. He won his pro card back in 2021 by winning his division at the North American Championships. And we actually had a chance to work out together last week while I was up in Toronto attending that fitness seminar that I mentioned. So we did a workout together and we videoed that workout, and I'm going to be sharing that next week on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel, a video of our training session together. And it was great to catch up and, of course, experience a new gym and train in a different environment. I love that. That's something that really excites me, just training at different gyms, experiencing different equipment, different atmosphere. I find it helps provide unique muscle stimulation. So I'll be sharing that. That's something you can look forward to next week on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel. But yeah, so this past week, obviously, like I said, has been busy for me, traveling, attending seminars, and kind of catching up with some friends and colleagues in the fitness industry. So I haven't done a live Q&A for a couple weeks now, but it's good to be back. This is something that I really look forward to doing on Fridays. And when I don't do them, I miss them. I really do. I miss this opportunity to connect and chat and kind of just shoot the breeze here on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel. So who else we got joining in? I see we got Mike's joining in from Adelaide, Australia, early in the morning. Well, kudos to you, Mike. You're up and at 'em bright and early, joining in. Great way to start the day. Thanks for joining in. We have the Buff Canuck joining in. Welcome. Glad to have you joining us. All right. And if you have any questions or topics of discussion now, for those of you who are just popping onto our live stream, this is your opportunity now to ask anything that you want regarding fitness, nutrition, building muscle, losing fat, any specific challenges that you have. Feel free to type those in, or any topics of discussion. You know, maybe you've been hearing some things floating around on social media and you kind of want to, chat about it. Feel free to do that as well, because that's one thing I find, like, these days there's so much information overload. Like, every time you log on to YouTube or you go on to your social media, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or wherever you're getting your information to these days, you're being bombarded with so much information, and very often it's contradictory information. Like, I'll give you a prime example. You have a school of people preaching the carnivore diet, and then you have a school of people preaching the vegan diet. I mean, they're like chalk and cheese, complete polar opposites, and both schools of thought are convinced that they're right? The carnivores are convinced if you eat a plant, you're going to die, and the vegans are convinced if you eat a piece of meat, you're going to die, and both think they're right. And, it can be so confusing. And then you also get contradictory views when it comes to training, like different schools of thought. High volume, low volume, strength training versus cardio. I mean, I actually posted a video clip of that today up on the YouTube channel, right? And that was something that we talked about in our last podcast. But again, there's so much contradictory opinions out there. And the thing that I want to discuss about this is, it's not necessarily right, wrong, good, or bad, but it depends on the individual and the situation. And that's where I like to kind of differentiate myself in providing context and explaining where certain approaches may be advantageous and where they're not advantageous. And you need to kind of break it down, and instead of just taking it for face value, saying, hey, this is good or that's bad, think of what's appropriate for you at your situation, your stage of life, and your current goals, like where you're at right now. Because the approach you take can change as your body changes, as you become more advanced, right? Like, I have utilized low carbohydrate diets and had success with them. I've utilized intermittent fasting and had success with it. But these days, at this stage of the game and my current goals, I'm not utilizing those strategies. I'm utilizing different strategies. So it's nice to kind of have a big picture perspective on things, instead of just saying, this is good, that's bad, this is right, this is wrong. Realizing there's a million shades of gray in between, right? And we kind of have to decipher what's ideal for you based on your current situation. And that's something that I really prioritize when I'm working with people one-on-one, my personal coaching students, is to kind of customize an approach that is ideal for them at their current level, and then let that evolve. As your body and as your physique evolves and as your goals evolve, the training and the nutrition approach has to evolve as well. All right, so it's something that we can certainly unpack if you have some questions surrounding that as well. And Buff Canuck saying, you're one of the OGs in the fitness space. Yeah, I appreciate it. Absolutely. I mean, I remember that, and this is the God's honest truth. I remember the first time I logged onto the internet. It was back in 1997. I was using a dial-up modem I was in college at the time. And first time I logged onto the internet, there wasn't even a Google. This was before the days of Google. It was Yahoo was the main search engine. And I typed in bodybuilding into Yahoo, and nothing came up. Nothing. It was literally empty. Like, there was no websites, no workouts, no videos, none of all the stuff that we're bombarded with today. Like, if you go into a search engine, you go to Google and you type in bodybuilding, you'll get like 100 million search results pop up. But when I typed it in back in 1997, like, nothing came up. All that came up was like, bodybuilding is working out to build your muscles. Like, there were some like basic terms and definitions, but there was no actual content, no meat and potatoes there. There was just a definition, almost like if you looked up bodybuilding in the dictionary. That's basically what popped up. And what it was I was doing a computer studies course back in the late 90s. And for our term project for that computer studies course, we had to create a website, an HTML website. And I created Lee Hayward's Total Fitness Bodybuilding. That was my term project for school back in, it was in 1997. And I put that website online. And that's where this kind of spurred from. Very humble beginnings. But because there was nothing else out there at the time, anybody who went on the internet and typed in anything related to fitness, working out, or whatever, I was popping up first page of the search engines because there was like literally nothing else out there. So, I mean, I had no idea what the hell I had stumbled upon and what the heck I was doing at the time. But, kind of like that innovation of just being there at the right place at the right time. And of course, having the courage to put myself out there. I mean, it really helped to kickstart things. And lo and behold, I would be going around to places. I remember, like, I could even be just going out to the shopping centers or whatever. Like, I'd go to the grocery store. I go to a Walmart or whatever, and I'd have people stop me and say, "Hey, you're Lee Hayward. You're the guy with the website." And I said, "Yeah, that's me." Right? I mean, it was crazy how it used to happen back then. And of course, nowadays there's everybody and their dog is online, so it's just kind of changed the scene for sure. But that's how it started. Like, that was the humble beginnings, and here we are now. 28 years later, still going strong, right? Online. So yeah, certainly one of the OGs to the online fitness space for sure. Absolutely. All right, let's see. We got a lot of people popping on here. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. All right, Sam joining in. Sorry for getting here late. You know what, Sam? We were actually a few minutes late getting started, so you're right on time. There is no late. You're here. Congratulations. Kudos. All right, let's get going. I see some questions popping through here. So without further ado, let's jump into it. All right, first question of the day goes to AJ's. Got it here. So I've been having some issues that required me to visit the doc. It seemed like on the right side of my neck around the trapezius muscle has been sore. I feel it's just tension. It's made me cautious about weightlifting now. I'm wondering if there's exercises that could help that you could recommend. It could be an impinged nerve. Very often, and just, top of my head in there, that's what I would say. It's probably a pinched nerve or an impinged nerve, because in the neck, running down through, the spine, all the nerves of the body, like that, all the nerves run down there. And it's very easy to pinch nerves in your traps or in your back. And every now and then I get this myself, and it can really create tension and stiffness and just like general discomfort in the area. Like sometimes you'll move in a certain way. It's, oh, like that just feels tight and sore. And again, it's a unique sensation because it's not sore as in muscle soreness from a workout, meaning like that delayed onset muscle soreness or stiffness. It's just that tension and that tightness, and very often it's a nerve impingement. It may actually loosen up and ease up on its own, and usually nerve impingements do, but there are some things that you can do to kind of speed that up. And one that I would recommend, this could be for anybody, not just someone with an impinged nerve or tight traps, is neck rotations and exercises that you do just for your neck and all those muscles in general. And this is something very simple. Like you can literally do this right now. What I kind of do this as a warm up before my workouts, but throughout the day, anytime I'm feeling any tightness and stiffness, I'll do this as well. So all it is like just head up, head down. So like stretch up, feel the front of your neck stretch out, and then go chin to chest, feel the back of your neck stretch out, and do that for at least 10 rotations up and down. And then you would go side to side. So it looks as far as you can to the side. And you'll feel the stretch right there in the side of the neck. The other side, again, feel the stretch and just go, take your time. Like this isn't a fast movement. It's just a slow, deliberate, and take yourself through a full range of motion that you're comfortable with. And then you would go ear to shoulder, right? You're not actually going to touch your ear to your shoulder, but you're going to try to. Or you're going to stretch out so you'll feel the opposite side here stretch out. Go to the other side, feel it stretch out. And this is something that you can do like anytime you're feeling that tension. And I like to do it before my workouts as a warm-up exercise. And if you're traveling or sitting at a desk for a long period of time, like you can do this throughout the day. Like sometimes, if I'm doing a lot of work on the computer, sometimes you're hunched over and you get that tightness and stiffness. Just take on a break, just sit up and do, these neck rotation exercises, and it can really help to just limber things up and increase blood flow and circulation and ease up some of that tension. So that's something that I would recommend trying. Do it, a few times a day, throughout the day. Do it in morning, noon, and night, and hopefully that could help to ease up some of that tension that you're feeling in the traps. All right, let's see what else we got there. John's got a question. He says, what do you use to track your macros each day? All right, I have to be honest. I personally don't count calories or track macros right now. And it's not that I haven't done it, but it's kind of, I've been doing this for so long that I can eyeball it and be close enough and get within my goals. Like the last time I competed in bodybuilding, I actually made a comeback to the stage back in 2021, did the Masters division in classic physique. I got in probably my leanest condition. I mean, it wasn't my biggest condition, but probably one of my leanest conditions ever. And I didn't even count calories or track macros. I was just, because I'm so in tune with my body, having done this for 30 plus years, that I can literally, just by sensation and just knowing what works for me. Now, it didn't start that way. All right. So you're asking me, what do I use? So I mean, like personally, I don't do it. But for my coaching students, we will use some sort of fitness tracker. I actually have a custom app that allows people to track their food intake. It's part of our coaching program. It's our VIP coaching app that I have for my students. It's a private app. It's not one that you can go download from the App Store. It's one that I have custom made, and I set up individual accounts for my coaching students on this custom app. And everyone has their own workout program in there, their own customized meal plan in there, and they can track everything. And it's a two-way app. So I can literally log into their account and follow along with their nutrition, follow along with their workouts. People can upload their progress measurements, their progress photos, and we can literally have a snapshot of their entire progress in this app. So it's a customized tool that I use for my personal coaching students. And a lot of the guys use that, and that's where we track everything, track their food, their workouts, progress, everything through that custom tracking app. But if you're interested in that and you want to come on board with the VIP coaching program and take advantage of that custom tracking app, just reach out to me, send me a message or email. We can chat about it. But if you want to kind of do it on your own, MyFitnessPal is a good one. Like that's probably one of the most popular ones for tracking, calories and macros. Bottom line, any tool you use is going to work. Like back in the day, we did it old school. Like we had pen and paper, and I don't think I have a copy of it, but oh yes, let me see if I do. No, I don't. It's not here. It must be out on the bookshelf. But I used to have a big old chunky calorie counter book. It was called The Complete Guide for Calorie Tracking or something or whatever, but it had nutritional information for literally thousands of different foods in this big like encyclopedia book. And that's what I used to use. I mean, a lot of people use that book back in the day. Like I'm talking like back in the late 90s, early 2000s, before, food tracking online became popular. We used to do it old school that way, and just pen and paper and calculator, track your calories and macros that way. And I mean, I did that for years getting ready for bodybuilding shows. And that's where I really learned nutrition and how to, manage your calories and your macros, just pen and paper. So it doesn't have to be anything fancy. What matters is that you're doing it consistently, right? And you're learning it. And what you'll find is as you're tracking this and you're doing it over and over and over again, week after week, month after month, what you're going to see is like a lot of your meals are similar. Like we're creatures of habit. So you'll just, even if you're not trying to follow a structured plan, you'll find yourself falling into default habits. So there's going to be a lot of similarities, and you're going to start to learn what foods are good sources of protein, what foods are good sources of carbohydrates, what are leaner sources, and not so good sources and all this. And you'll be able to pinpoint just by repetitively tracking your food over time. And then that's when you can kind of get it to the point where it starts to become second nature to you, and you do it almost automatic on default, if you will. And that's the goal. Like with my coaching students, I try to get them to the point where you can kind of let go of the strict calorie tracking and focus on habits and routine versus always being a slave to logging, weighing, tracking, measuring every morsel of food you put in your mouth. Now, with that being said, some people love logging, tracking, and weighing every morsel of food they put in their mouth. And I know guys literally have, like, I have some people that I'm working with, coaching students who have over 1,000 days consistent logged in, like MyFitnessPal, for example. Where everything is tracked. And I mean, if you're a numbers guy and you love tracking and recording and it works for you, keep doing it. Other people, they absolutely hate it. Like they can't stand the thought of weighing, tracking, recording, and measuring everything. And if that's the case, then you don't have to be a slave to calorie tracking, right? You can focus on using it initially to kind of lay out a bench, your guideline benchmarks. But once you start getting into a routine and the meals are kind of similar from day to day, then you can focus on the habits and the routines, and then we can track your progress, see if you're still moving in the right direction, whether that's losing body fat, building muscle, improving athletic performance, whatever it is you're training for. And as long as the progress is happening, we can kind of focus on the habits and the routines. And then if you do hit a plateau and you're kind of like, I feel like I'm doing everything right, but I'm just not seeing the results I want, then we break out the nutrition tracking again and get really strict and dial it in, because sometimes you may subconsciously think you're doing things right, but then little foods are slipping through the cracks, if you will, the mindless snacking or the misinterpreting portion sizes and things like that. So sometimes if you're not seeing the results you want, that's when I like to break out the nutrition tracking for my coaching students. But as long as you're seeing progress, we can kind of focus on habits and routines instead. So I just want to kind of give you a bigger picture perspective on it. And the thing is, there's a lot of nutrition tracking apps out there these days. I mean, there's oodles of them. And I'm not saying one's right, wrong, better, or worse. It's the one that you find works the best for you and the one that you're going to use consistently. Right? I mean, obviously, MyFitnessPal, is a popular one. And I'm not sponsored by them or have any affiliation with them whatsoever. I'm just mentioning them because they're like literally the most popular food tracking app out there. But there's a ton of private label ones and smaller ones that are just as effective. Like we have a custom one that we use for our coaching students, and it works well, right? So the tool is, it's not the tool, it's the person using the tool, right? That's the key here. All right, what else we got? We have James joining in. Welcome, James. It says, Lee, what are the core foundation of supplements that you recommend? How would you recommend losing fat for a 40-year-old male with a rather sedentary lifestyle? All right, first off, supplements, let's just talk about supplements for what they are. It is a supplement. A lot of times people put more emphasis on supplements than they deserve. Like the foundation is your nutrition, it's your exercise, your lifestyle. That's like 95% of your progress is going to come from that, right? What you eat, your exercise, and your lifestyle. Supplementation, that's like the icing on the cake. That's like the 5%, the marginal edge, if you will, the marginal gains that can be achieved through supplementation. A lot of people have it ass backwards, where they say, okay, I want to start getting in shape, I want to start losing fat. What supplements do I need? No, let's cleaning up your eating habits first. Let's focus on improving your exercise habits first and your lifestyle habits and all that. Let's get the big rocks in the jar first before we start worrying about sprinkling in some sand on top. Supplements are just the icing on the cake. I want you to look at that. But what's the point of having icing if you have no cake, right? You got to have the foundation first, right? So we got to focus on that. Once you do have the foundation, proper nutrition, proper exercise, proper lifestyle habits in place, good sleep habits in place, all that stuff, then we can start looking at supplementation. And for me, some of the key ones that I like to focus on that I recommend for my coaching students, one, protein. protein supplements. And how I use protein is if you're not getting enough solid food protein through your diet, then you can supplement that with protein supplements. And most people that I talk to struggle to get enough protein. Like even people who eat meat in their diet, like eating a mixed diet that includes animal protein, they still struggle to get enough protein. Like ideally, you want to be getting a gram of protein per pound of lean body mass per day, or a gram of protein per pound of your ideal goal body weight per day. Right? You could look at it either way: a gram per pound of lean mass, or a gram per pound of goal body weight. So whatever you want to weigh, just to keep it simple, you want to weigh 200 pounds, you need to eat at least 200 grams of protein per day. That's hard to do, especially if you're not accustomed to eating that much protein. So protein supplements can certainly help with that. Right, so that's one core supplement that I recommend. Another one that's kind of in the same category, greens powder, green supplement. Protein helps to supplement your protein intake. So protein powder supplements your protein intake. Greens powder supplements your vegetable intake. And most people are not getting enough vegetables. Like the general rule of thumb, like even from health and nutritionists, they recommend getting, 10 plus servings of vegetables per day. How many people are getting 10 servings of vegetables per day? Very freaking few. I mean, when I think of people I know personally, friends, family, neighbors, whatever, heck, they'd be lucky to get 10 servings of vegetables a week, let alone in a day. Right? So if you're not getting enough vegetables, then you can supplement with greens powder, right? It's a way to get extra vegetable nutrition in your diet, just the same as protein powder is a way to get extra protein nutrition in your diet. So those are two foundations. The way I do it, if I don't get solid food protein or solid food vegetables with a meal, then I will supplement with protein or greens. For example, like if I'm busy, like say I'm in the morning, I say, man, I slept in, I got to rush out the door, I got to get to work, and I don't have time for a proper meal. I might whip up a smoothie with protein powder and greens powder and kind of get that in. And that's a quick way to get a good solid nutrition start to the day, right? So protein and greens, two foundational supplements right there. Another one that I recommend as well, healthy fats, essential fatty acids. And you probably hear my son out there playing. He can be a bit rambunctious at times. So if you hear any crazy noise in the background, just realize it's just Harvey being an 8-year-old kid. What was I saying there? Talking about essential fatty acids. That's what it was. So essential fatty acids, omega-3s, right? For me, I like high potency fish oil supplements. So a high concentration fish oil supplement to get those essential fatty acids. And if you look at those three supplements that I just mentioned, protein, greens, essential fatty acids, that's kind of covering the foundation of your nutrition right there. Protein, veggies, and healthy fats. That's what your real nutrition should be made up of primarily. Protein, veggie, and healthy fats. Like if you're getting that covered, you got like that's 80% of a healthy diet right there, right? So that's what you want to focus on. Other supplements we can get into, like some vitamin and mineral supplements like zinc, magnesium, the B vitamins. I take a B complex to help ensure that I'm getting all those covered. Vitamin D3, that's another one that's a very common deficiency for a lot of people. So vitamin D3, and these days it usually comes combination. You can get vitamin D3 and K2. It just helps with the absorption and the utilization of the vitamin D3. And so that's another one that I like to use. That's pretty much the core foundation ones right there. Creatine, another one that I use as well. I should mention that. Like most of my coaching students were taking creatine monohydrate because there's numerous health benefits to creatine. It's not just an athletic muscle building supplement. Like I know for years it's been promoted as like a bodybuilding supplement. But nowadays, we're realizing that it's an overall health and longevity supplement. And even a lot of seniors, regardless if they exercise or lift weights or not, are taking creatine just for the health, mental, and cognitive benefits to it. So this is something that I recommend everybody be supplementing with. Creatine monohydrate, that's another one that I use and recommend to my coaching students as well. And those right there, that's what I would consider the core foundational supplements. Now, we can keep going down the rabbit hole with this, like for people who are really pushing themselves in the gym and are, pushing the limits with their workouts and you want to maximize recovery. We can get into things like essential amino acids, to help speed up the recovery process with your workouts. You can look into supplementation, like electrolyte supplements, especially if you're doing like long duration exercise or endurance athletes who sweat a lot and they need to replenish the electrolytes. We can go down that road as well. Even carbohydrate supplements. This is more along the lines for endurance athletes who are burning a lot of calories and doing prolonged exercise. Amino acids, electrolytes, carbohydrate supplements. These are good to have intra-workout to help sustain your energy and to sustain, optimal hydration throughout the workout itself, especially when you're doing long duration endurance training, right? So these are some things that I'll utilize myself, but focus on, keeping it simple. Like that's one of the problems here is once you start going down the rabbit hole, we can really, we can overcomplicate things. And now all of a sudden people are thinking, oh my Jesus, I need all these supplements. No, right? As I mentioned at the start, let's focus on the foundation first, meaning what's your eating like? What's your sleep and rest and, sleep hygiene like? What's your exercise and lifestyle like? Like, let's take care of that first. Once that's in place, then we can start adding in some supplements as needed. But I want you to realize it doesn't have to be this all or nothing perfect approach, right? We can start off small and build gradually. Right? That's one of the problems when it comes to bodybuilding and fitness and health and wellness in general is, you start doing some research on this stuff and then, keep going down the rabbit hole. And then before you know it, it's like, man, this is so big and it seems overwhelming. And then, of course, if you're confused and overwhelmed, what do you say? You say, screw it. I'm not doing anything, right? Like you started off with the best of intentions. Hey, I'm going to start making some lifestyle changes. I'm going to start exercising, eating right, and taking care of my health and fitness. And then you realize how big health and fitness can actually be. And you're like, screw that, right? I'm going back to the couch with a bag of Doritos and a six-pack and screw it, right? Netflix and chill rather than take care of my health and fitness. So you don't have to go all out. That's what I'm saying. Like, just focus on being better than you were before. That's progress. What else we got? Let's keep moving on here. We have the Buff Canuck saying, I saw your pics with the bodybuilders. It was great to see. Yeah, so I was training last week. I did a workout at Pure Muscle Plus Fitness in Burlington, Ontario, which is about 45 minutes or so outside of Toronto. And that is an amazing gym. Arguably, I'd say it's probably one of the best gyms that I've ever been in. And I've been in a lot of, big gyms. Like I've been Gold's Gym Venice, which is an amazing gym. I've been in a lot of gyms, and that spot, I have to say, like, it's not the biggest gym that I've ever been in, but it's just from a bodybuilding point of view, I think it's really good because they have such a wide variety of really good equipment and just the atmosphere. Like while I was in there doing my workout, I seen at least maybe a dozen IFBB pro bodybuilders in there. So like the atmosphere was just crazy because like I was working out with an IFBB pro bodybuilder, and while we were training, he like we're doing our set, and next thing you know, you see this mass monster just walk across the gym. He said, "Oh yeah, he's a pro, and oh this guy's a pro, and this girl's a pro," and like, what the hell? Like I felt out of place. Like I said, I'm not a pro, right? I'm not an IFBB pro. So I mean, I felt out of place in that gym, right? Because it's just such a high level, high caliber of bodybuilder. So from a bodybuilding point of view, probably one of the best gyms around. And it was just a really cool environment to see. All right, so again, I got a full video that I shot of that workout that we did, so I'll be posting that up next week. So it's something you definitely want to check out. Right, they'll be popping up in your YouTube notifications, but I'll be sharing the link to it on social media and through email as well when it comes out. And he says, also seen the cycling you did at the facility you were in. Yes, I did a certification program at the Milton Velodrome, which is about an hour outside of Toronto. And this is an Olympic velodrome. And for those of you who are wondering what the heck is a velodrome, you've all seen it before. It's the indoor track cycling, where they're going around the big oval. It's basically like NASCAR for bicycles, the big steep banked corners and stuff. And you see the guys, the track cyclists. So I did a certification program on the velodrome. And this is something you have to do if you want to ride the velodrome, because not anybody can just go to a velodrome and ride it. You have to be certified to actually use it, because there's a steep learning curve for the velodrome. And I actually posted a short video on YouTube. If you go check out my YouTube shorts, there was a clip there I posted a couple days ago of me cycling at the velodrome, and that was really cool. If you've ever done it before, let me know, right? Because first off, you're riding a fixed gear bike, right? No brakes, no gears. It's just a fixed gear bike. So the faster you pedal, the faster you go. The slower you pedal, the slower you go. And if you want to brake or slow down, you literally have to resist the pedals. That's how you brake. All right. And the thing is you can't stop pedaling either. Like, there's no such thing as freewheeling. Like, if the bike is moving, your legs are moving because it's fixed gear. So that was a big learning curve. And of course, the banks of those velodromes, they're crazy steep. They're like 45-degree angles. So first off, like, you got to be doing at least 30 kilometers an hour just to stay up on the bank. And it, like, feels like you're you're riding on a wall, like, literally. So it was pretty intimidating at first, but like I say, once, with professional coaching, of course, going through the whole certification program, I got to say, I learned a lot in a very short period of time. And after 3 hours, like, heck, I was going around the velodrome and doing so quite confidently, right? I gotta say, it was pretty cool experience, and I'm definitely something I'll go back and do again, right? Because it was an amazing workout. All right, what else we got there? Chris is joining in saying, what's your opinion of El Campino, I think is how you pronounce it. I think I know who you're talking about. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've seen this guy on social media, like, popping up in, these short reels and stuff like that. He's kind of like a slender built guy, but he lifts ridiculously heavy weight for really shitty form. I think that's who you're referring to, Chris. If it is, let me know in the comments there, but I believe that's who it is. It's like ego lifting extreme, where he's a small guy, and he'll fill up the leg press with every plate you can stack on the leg press, and he'll do like 2-inch range of motion leg presses, or fill up the landmine row with every 45 you can fit on it, and kind of like deadlift it, or do like a 1-inch range of motion row or something. What's my opinion of it? I mean, I think he's doing this for obviously ego and attention and whatever, because I mean, the videos go viral, and then you'll get people who think, wow, that's incredible, he's lifting so much weight. And then of course you get people who bitch and complain, saying, well, it's ego lifting, and you're not doing a full range of motion. And anything that's controversial like that is going to go viral, because that's what the algorithm loves. When people start bitching and complaining in the comments and saying, some people say, wow, that's really cool, and some people say, no, that sucks, and then they start arguing. Interaction comments, I mean, it just drives the algorithm through the roof. So my opinion of it, I think mostly it's just for attention on social media. From a practical point of view, doing that kind of crazy heavy lifting, there is a time and a place for it when it's done properly and under control. Like, for example, power lifters very often do heavy partial range of motion lifts to build up the strength and connective tissue, like heavy lockouts in the power rack, whether that's heavy bench press lockouts, heavy squat lockouts, deadlift lockouts, things like that. I mean, there's a time and a place for heavy partials, don't get me wrong, but you can also overkill it and abuse it to the point where it's just ridiculous. And that's where this El Campino guy kind of crosses that line into the absurd and the ridiculous. Now, with that being said, I mean, obviously he's a strong guy, to be able to simply move that weight, but the risk to reward, or the risk to benefit, he's walking a tightrope of getting injured every time he gets under the ridiculously heavy weight. And personally, I would never do it myself, but hey, to each their own, right? If that floats his boat and gets some attention, who might argue, right? Do whatever the hell you want to do, right? But that's my opinion, right? We'll move on. What are your thoughts on peptides? Honestly, I don't have a lot of experience with this. In fact, I have virtually no experience with this, but it's something that I I've talked to different people, and there are certain peptides that seem to have some promise out there. Like one that I've talked to some guys about from like an injury rehab point of view. What's it called? BCP 157 or BPC 157. I don't quote me on that. I'm probably butchering the name on it, but it's a peptide that supposedly helps to aid with recovery. I've never used it personally, but I know of some guys who are using it and who have used it and claim that it's actually helpful. Not only for injury prevention, or not injury prevention, but injury rehab, but also from a gut health point of view as well. Like a lot of people use it that way. Again, I don't have any personal experience on this, so I can't really, give you any practical advice that you wouldn't just be able to find through an internet search. But when it comes to these things, I think there are potential there for sure. Now, the problem when it comes to peptides is they're not regulated. It's not like, it's not a strict regulation. And a lot of these peptides are marketed as research chemicals, not meant for human consumption, even though everybody buys them for human consumption, even though they're not supposed to, right? You're not supposed to do this, but that's kind of the world you're living in. And the problem with that, where it's not regulated and a lot of it's underground, you don't know what the heck you're getting into. Whereas if you get something that's regulated, or you get prescription medication or whatever, or for example, like if someone went to their doctor and got hormone replacement therapy, well, at least you're getting something from a reputable pharmacy, a reputable product, if you will. When you're going into underground peptides, it may be good, it may not be good. Like, who knows? It's really a crapshoot on that point of view. So, I don't have any personal experience or anything to share on it, but my thoughts on it, I think that it's certainly a area of interest and potential for, taking things to the next level. And of course, that's one of the reasons why you see, bodybuilders and athletes and stuff. I mean, taking things to the next level. Right? These are all. It's more than just the old school, hormone therapy, if you will, for PEDs. It's getting into peptides, and not only peptides, but all the different avenues, not only from a muscle building point of view, but like I mentioned earlier, like an injury rehabilitation point of view. So there's certainly some potential there, but it needs further development and more human research and real world applications to kind of make it more mainstream. I would just caution approach this gently, because again, you're entering in the wild west when it comes to underground stuff like that. Who else we got joining in? John's just saying, awesome story of your beginnings. Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, thanks. That's something I'm probably going to do a podcast or something to go into more detail about that, because sometimes I assume people know the humble beginnings and how this all came about, but most people don't. Like the average person who's followed me has probably only been following me for the last recent years, and they don't know the backstory behind it all. So it'd probably be a good podcast topic to share, how this all came about. We have Mark joining in saying, hey, everybody, just wanted to ask, what is the worst beginner exercise that everybody seems to want to do but doesn't really do anything? Thank you, Lee. What is the worst beginner exercise that everybody seems to want to do but doesn't really do anything? Okay, so I understand what you mean. What's the worst exercise that people want to do, but the exercise doesn't really do anything? I'm trying to think from a practical point of view here, because we can look at it from a bigger picture perspective point of view and think like, something's better than nothing. So like, a lot of people say, this is a bad exercise, that's a good exercise, or whatever. And a lot of times it is personal opinion, or it can vary from person to person. But what's the worst exercise? I'm going to just talk on this from a practical point of view, because I really don't like to have these worst exercises or saying this exercise has no application. But when it comes to training, you have to adjust the workouts to the individual, your individual fitness level at this stage of the game and what you're currently able to do right now. And just to put things in context, myself and Mark actually did a workout this morning over on his YouTube channel. Mark has a live stream that he does, and myself and Mark, we were on the live stream this morning at I believe it was 10 a.m. Eastern time, and we did a workout using resistance bands that he did from home. And there was a particular exercise that I wanted Mark to try today. For example, like it was a trunk rotation exercise for the core. For a lot of people, that could be a good practical exercise, but in Mark's case, it just wasn't a good exercise for him. Now, for me, I did the exercise. I didn't have any problem or mobility issues whatsoever. But in his case, when he tried that exercise, it was just causing a lot of aches and pains and just did not feel right. So when you're doing any exercise, if something doesn't feel right, like you're getting a sharp shooting pain and it's not the dull ache or the fatigue of working hard and getting a pump and getting a burn, like that's good pain when it comes to exercise. Feeling the muscles work, getting the lactic acid, and just the sensation of a good workout, like that's the good pain. But when you're doing a movement, if you get any sharp shooting pain or discomfort, or that just does not feel right, like maybe you're doing a specific chest exercise, for example, and oh man, I'm feeling the impingement in my shoulders, like this doesn't feel right. Or maybe you're doing a leg exercise and it's just, get that sharp shooting pain in the knees. Or in Mark's case, I think we were doing that rotation exercise and he found it in his hip. Like if you get any type of sharp shooting pain where your body is just telling you, nope, do not do this, then that's not a good exercise. And that could vary for everybody. Like just because one person finds it uncomfortable doesn't mean everybody's going to find it uncomfortable, right? We all have our own individual mobility, our own individual body type, our own individual history when it comes to aches, pains, and injuries that we are all dealing with. So we can't really just categorize and say, hey, this is the worst exercise for everybody, because it may not be. It may be the worst exercise for this person, but it might be a perfectly fine exercise for somebody else. So you really have to approach this, and customize it to you as you're going. And this is why whenever I'm coaching somebody one-on-one, I always, like, when we're starting a new exercise, we start ridiculously light. Like sometimes if it's a barbell exercise, we'll use the empty barbell. If it's a machine exercise, we're going like really light on the machine weight stack. We're just kind of go through the motions and see if we can do this movement pattern, first of all, and do the movement pattern comfortably. If that's okay, then we gradually increase the weight set after set after set and see if the movement feels good. And if it does, great, we'll utilize that exercise in our training routine. If it doesn't, then we'll probably skip it and do something else. And that's one of the cool things about working out in a commercial gym these days is you have such a wide variety of equipment to choose from. So prime example, like if a barbell bench press hurts your shoulders and you can't do it, then maybe you could do a chest press machine instead, or maybe you can do a fly variation instead, or some other variation or different angle, different position that allows you to work that muscle group, work that movement pattern without causing pain and discomfort. And that's the thing you really want to focus on, is what can you do that feels good for you and your body type, versus thinking that, this is the worst exercise or this is the best exercise, because what's worst or best really depends on the individual. If you have pre-existing injuries, then that's going to have a big impact, and that's going to play a major role into what you can and can't do. Right. And that's kind of a pet peeve of mine. And there's some very popular fitness influencers out there who've made videos that have gone viral and got millions of views saying, hey, this is the worst exercise, never do this. Like there's some people say, like, never do leg extensions, it's the worst exercise, it will destroy your knees. Well, that's kind of like a crock of shit, because there's a lot of top level bodybuilders and athletes who have built amazing quads utilizing leg extensions in their leg training. So to say, hey, everybody should not do leg extensions because one particular fitness influencer doesn't like it, I don't agree with that. It really depends on the individual and what you can do or what you can't do, right? For the record, I love leg extensions. I regularly do them as part of my workouts, and I have my coaching students do them. As long as they can do them comfortably without pain and discomfort, hey, we'll utilize it. Same with squats. Like some people love squats, some people hate squats. If you can do it, hey, by all means do it. If you can't, then let's find another variation instead. Right. So hopefully that, elaborates on your question there, Mark. But it's not just a black and white, this is good, this is bad, everybody should do it or everybody shouldn't do it. Right. It really depends on the individual. We've got Heavy Duty Josh joining in. He says, Lee, any tips for consistency? I worked out 4 years consistently, got to 300 bench, 450 squat. Then depression had me inconsistent for a year. Okay, that's all right. I just wanted to see if there was a follow-up to that question or not, but no, okay. First off, I'm not going to downplay depression or any mental health issues because that is a serious topic, right? I mean, and anyone suffering from depression or any mental health issues, please seek some professional help. Like, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist or psychiatrist or any don't even pretend to be one on YouTube. So again, I don't want to downplay this. Anyone who's suffering from any mental health issues, please seek out professional help, right? Contact your doctor, your local healthcare professionals, whoever, and get the help that you need for that. But to kind of address your question here, and the next step, assuming you are getting some help for the depression and all that, the big thing that you have to focus on now is just being better than you were before. And what I mean by better than you were before is I don't mean better than your 300-pound bench press and your 450-pound squat. I mean better than where you are today, right now, and whatever that may be. Like maybe you can't bench the barbell. I don't know, right? Maybe you're starting off from ground zero. And this applies to anybody starting back after a layoff. You have to start back at where you're at. Like, sure, you can be proud of what you did in the past, but realize that's the past. That's not where you are now. So you have to start back where you're at now and start back just like a beginner who's never been to the gym before, right? That's where you have to start from. And I know that can be a big kick to the ego, if you will. And it's, because in your mind, you're thinking, hey, I should be able to bench press 300 pounds, right? But you can't. You got to start off at the level you're at now. You got to start off just like a beginner again. So the big one is swallow the pride, swallow the ego, and just take action. Just commit to showing up. And that's the hardest part. Like the hardest exercise you will do at the gym, right? I always get asked this question, what's the hardest exercise? And for most people, the hardest exercise is walking through the front door. Because once you're there, once you're at the gym and you actually show up, the rest is easy. It's almost like coasting downhill from there. But the hardest initial hurdle is just to get your ass through the front door. And that's what you need to focus on, is just showing up. And once you're there, don't have any expectations of trying to match your previous best or getting caught up and saying, oh, that guy's lifting this much weight or this person's lifting that much weight or what. You're there for you. Like, who cares what everybody else is doing? Just focus on you and being better than you were before. That's it. And that's a big, it's a hard pill to swallow, but once you do, and you just start building the progress from there, you'll be surprised at how fast you'll start to make progress, especially coming back after a layoff. Like, you can regain lost muscle and strength a lot quicker than it took you to gain it initially, but you just have to be consistent. And it's the consistency over the intensity. And one thing that I want you to do is give yourself permission to do small, easy workouts. Just show up. Even if you just show up for 20 minutes, do like a little tiny circuit routine, and leave. It doesn't have to be anything grand. It doesn't have to be anything big, but just show up consistently. At least I would recommend like every other day. That would be a good benchmark. Just kind of show up to the gym every other day. And then on the days you're not going to the gym, it'd be a good idea to probably like get outside and go for a walk or do some form of low intensity cardio just to kind of keep your body moving. And strength training one day, cardio the next. That would be a great way to go about it. And don't get hung up on the performance or the lifts or what you're doing. Just show up. That's it. Just show up and go through the motions. And by simply doing that, you will get bigger. You will get stronger. You will start to improve your fitness. That's what you need to focus on. And once you get into that routine, it's amazing how fast your body will progress. And you can make amazing progress by just showing up. Now, eventually, like after several weeks or several months of just showing up, your progress is going to start to plateau, right? You'll be getting stronger week after week after week, but eventually, like that will level off after so many months, and then you're going to have to start getting a bit more structured and planning things out and using a bit more strategy and not just simply winging it and going through the motions. But let that happen and let that come in due time. But for now, don't overthink it. The next step, just go to the gym. So for you, if you want a homework assignment and you haven't been to the gym in over a year, tomorrow, go to the gym, sign up for a membership, like whatever, find a gym in your local area that you're comfortable with and just buy a membership. That's your next action step. And hey, while you buy your membership, I mean, hey, go through a little beginner circuit routine while you're there as well. I mean, if you want a sample one to follow, like just go to my YouTube channel and search for Lee Hayward beginner workout program. There's some sample total body beginner circuit routines that you can follow along with there. But most gyms that you go to these days, they very often have like a beginner circuit routine. Like they might have hey, you do a set of chest presses and a set of seated rows and a set of shoulder presses and a set of leg presses and a bicep curl and a tricep extension and some core work. I mean, heck, if you did a couple sets of all that, you just hit your total body, right? You basically just hit all the major muscle groups. You could do that and just go through the motions with easy weights, stop your set short of failure, give yourself a couple days rest and go back and do it again. And then each time you go back, try and better what you did before. Either get an extra repetition or add an extra 5 pounds, just some sort of little progression, and then let that compound. But don't force it. Don't try and force your body to grow. Just let it grow by showing up consistently. And once you get into the habit of that, it's amazing because there's no stress. Like it's not like there's a deadline where you got to get in shape by X date or anything like that. It's just you show up to the gym and let your body grow, right? Let the consistency take care of it. And if you do that, you will make consistent progress. Like literally for the next 3 months, you could have consistent progress guaranteed. And then after that, you probably start to get into, it starts to level off a little bit where you got to get a bit more strategic, but we'll worry about that when the time comes, right? We'll cross that bridge when you get there. For now, go to the gym. Step 1, walk through the front door. That's the hardest exercise you're going to do. And that's the one that you need to accomplish, right? So just make a habit of just set a goal. Hey, I'm going to join the gym and I'm going to actually show up and do a workout. Boom. That's it. Don't overthink it and make it any more complicated, right? Get that one done and then focus on the next one. And I tell you what, that's your homework assignment for the weekend. And next week, pop onto the live chat and let us know. Like I would love for Heavy Duty Josh to log in next Friday and say, hey, Lee, I joined the gym and I actually went in and did a workout. I mean, if you could post that next week, that would be a huge victory and that would be worthy of applause and a pat on the back. So I'm looking forward to giving you a round of applause and a virtual pat on the back next week. But you got to take the next step and actually show up to the gym, sign up for a membership, and get in for a workout. All right. The ball is in your court, Mr. Heavy Duty Josh. Let's see what happens. What else we got there? We have Tim joining in saying, good to see you again, Lee. Time to curl up with some knowledge and bench press our brains. Let's lift some wisdom today. I appreciate it. Glad to have you joining in. And Tim's a regular to our video chats, and he's also a member over on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding Facebook group as well, which you can sign up for. Just do a search for Lee Hayward's Total Fitness Bodybuilding on Facebook, and we have a group there. It's you have to request to join, but there's no charge to join the Total Fitness Bodybuilding group, and it's a great way to keep that conversation going throughout the week. We got JE joining in saying, are there any benefits of doing half rep barbell rows? There are for advanced lifters. All right. And I'll give you the breakdown. For people who are new to the gym, coming back to the gym after a layoff, beginners or intermediates, don't mess around with doing half reps or partials. Focus on full range of motion. I want you to think of every time you're doing an exercise, think of a full stretch and a full contraction. So stretch and squeeze, and take things through a full exercise range of motion with all your exercises, and do so with weights that you can control that are within your means and really focus on getting that mind muscle connection. So especially when you're doing rowing exercises for the back, it's one of the hardest muscles to actually get that mind muscle connection, because the back is out of sight. We can't see it. You have to focus on really feeling it. So stretch, squeeze, stretch, squeeze, go through that full range of motion. That's what I would focus on first. Once you've been training for a year or more, and you're more advanced and you already got the basics and some good muscle development, you can get that mind muscle connection, then you can start incorporating partial repetitions. And where you would actually do this is, let's say you're doing a barbell row, and as you start to fatigue, you can no longer squeeze the barbell all the way to your torso. So you're coming up a little shy and you're not hitting the torso all the way. You can, if you want to, you can kind of push the set beyond failure in a way and really push yourself by doing some partial repetition. So instead of bringing it all the way to your torso, maybe you're only bringing it, 3/4 of the way, and then eventually only halfway, and then maybe even only a quarter way. In the bodybuilding world these days, the term they're using for this is the long length partial. I've seen a lot of fitness influencers using this term. I know, like Jeff Nippard had some videos talking about the benefits of long length partials, which is basically just a fancy way of saying half reps, especially with rowing exercises, right? You're doing the reps in the partial range of motion, because you might not have enough strength to do a full range of motion, but you still can do it through a half range of motion. As long as you're doing so with good form, using mind muscle connection and muscling the weight up, not using heaving and jerking it, you can safely do some partial reps at the end of a set to extend the set and get a little bit more muscle stimulation. But this is only beneficial for people who are in the advanced stages of training, because for beginners and intermediates, simply, hitting momentary exhaustion with full range of motion is going to be plenty of stimulation, right? You don't need to annihilate the muscles. You only need to stimulate them. So, if you're still within your first year or two of training, I wouldn't even worry about that. If you're more advanced, like you've been training for 3, 4, 5 years consistently, then you might want to consider doing partial repetitions. If you're kind of at a plateau with your training and you're looking like, how can I step things up a notch and, spur on some new muscle growth? It's a tool that you can use, right? But it's not something that I would do regularly. It's kind of something I would use occasionally when needed and when you really want to push things. But again, the full range of motion reps, that's going to be the bread and butter of your workouts. And that alone will get you incredible results. Right? Just look at this as an advanced tool in the toolbox that you're going to use occasionally when needed. How do you break through a fitness plateau without changing your workouts? Well, we would want to overview and look at what's causing the plateau, because there's a couple things that could cause a plateau. One is overtraining, where you're literally doing too much for your body to recover from. Another thing that could be causing the plateau is undertraining, where you're not maximizing the muscle stimulation and you could actually do more. Another thing that could be causing the plateau is lack of sleep or lack of nutrition. So we need to see what's the weak link in the chain. What's causing us to have a plateau? Is it that we're doing too much and you're literally burning your body out and you're not allowing adequate rest and recovery? Are you not doing enough? Or is there weak links in terms of, hey, I'm only getting 5 hours of sleep a night, and you're staying up to 1 o'clock in the morning and then you're getting up again at 6 a.m. to go to work the next day. Like, you ain't going to make gains if you're only getting like 5 hours of sleep, right? So what's the weak link in the chain? Or is it the nutrition? Like, maybe hey, I'm working out hard, I'm hitting the gym consistently, but I'm eating like shit, right? I'm just, I wake up in the morning and I skip breakfast, I grab whatever the special of the day is at the cafeteria, and then dinner's whatever the wife cooks or whatever mom cooks. Like, if that's your diet plan, and I've literally had people tell me that, like, I ask them, like, explain your diet to me. Well, I have a coffee for breakfast, whatever the special of the day is at work, and whatever the wife cooks at home for dinner, and then I'll grab a bag of chips and for a snack before bed. Like, if that's your diet, that's the weak link in the chain, right? Improving your eating habits could help you to bust through that plateau, making sure that you're actually getting in a gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight, making sure that you're getting in adequate healthy fats, and getting in your 10 servings of vegetables a day, and actually fueling and nourishing your body on the cellular level. If you're doing that, that could help you to bust through a plateau without changing your workout. If you're only sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night, actually getting 7 to 8 hours of good quality sleep a night, or more if you can, but at least 7. Like 7 would be the bare bones minimum, right? Ideally, you want to get 8 or more. If you're getting adequate sleep, compared to getting crappy sleep, that's going to have a huge impact in your progress and help you to bust through a plateau without changing your workout, right? And if you are doing too much, like maybe you're training in the gym 6 days a week, and you're just like, man, I'm training hard, I'm busting my ass, but I'm not making any gains. You're probably overtraining. So in that situation, you would want to change your workout, but actually scale it back. And this is something I talked about this in our last podcast. A common mistake that a lot of people make is they overdo their workouts, because every workout goes through a phase where you stimulate. So when you're stimulating, like when you're in the gym training, you're not building muscle in the gym. You're actually tearing it down. You break the body down in the gym. So like when you're in the gym working out, you're breaking the muscle down. You're actually getting weaker. And then once you've stimulated, then you have to go through the recovery process. Once your body's recovered, then it goes through a phase what's called super compensation, which you get a rebound after the workout, where you actually come back stronger than you were before. And then once you're in that super compensation phase, so you broke down the muscle, you're fully recovered, and then you actually super compensated, so you're in the over recovered, where you built a little bit of reserve strength. That's when you want to do your next workout, so that the next time you break the muscle down, recover, and super compensate, you're ahead of the curve. You're actually getting stronger with each workout you do. That's the ideal. And this, you can't train too frequently, because if you try to train like every single day, very often what happens is you're still in the recovery phase, and then you're doing your next workout. So you haven't even fully recovered, and you're digging yourself into a rut again. And then you haven't fully recovered, you're digging yourself into a rut again. So each workout, you actually get weaker and weaker, and you're never fully recovering. This is a common mistake for people who are very eager, and they think, hey, more is better. And they're training hard, they're pushing themselves, but they're not seeing the fruits of their labor, because they're actually overtraining, right? This is common. I fell into that trap when I was younger. Like when I was in my late teens, early 20s, I mean, I was borderline overtraining, especially when I was in my teenage years, right? Especially in when we had our summer break from school, and I had like 2 months in the summer, and I was like, man, I'm going to work out like a madman all summer long, and I'm going to be jacked when I go back to school next year, right? Like that was my mentality. And I can remember doing like 2-3 hour a day workouts every single day. And even though I was busted my ass and trained all summer, like I didn't actually make any gains. And I was like, what the hell is wrong here? Like I worked out like a madman, but I'm not seeing any progress. And once I actually started talking to some more experienced bodybuilders and learning what I'm teaching you here now, and I scaled back my workouts to every other day, and I actually did less volume. So instead of doing like 2 to 3 hours, 6 or 7 days a week, I was doing maybe an hour and a half, 3 days a week. So like scale back the volume, scale back the frequency. And I started making gains, because now I was actually allowing the body to rest, recover, and grow between workouts. And I made better gains because of it. So that's a common thing. A lot of guys, they end up overtraining because they're pushing themselves beyond what their body can recover from. And then the other side of a plateau is you're not doing enough. So you're half-assed with your workouts. Like I'll try to get to the gym this week, and like, oh, I was too busy and I didn't get to the gym this week. Well, maybe I'll try to get to the gym next week. So you're getting in 1 or 2 workouts a week, maybe, and then you skip a week or 2, and then you get in another 1 or 2 workouts the next week, and then you skip a week. And if you're not consistent, then there's nothing to make progress on, because okay, you stimulated a bit of muscle growth, but then you waited so long that you actually lost the progress you made by the time you do your next workout. This is the people who say like, I'm working out on and off. Oh, I've been working out on and off for the last 20 years. You see that a lot, but they're not making any progress. It's because they're not consistent enough to actually let that progress compound. So those are the different types of plateaus, and you need to analyze what's yours. Are you overtraining? Are you undertraining? Are you under resting? Are you under nourishing? Like, where's the weak link in the chain? And fix the weak link in your chain, and that's what's going to help you to fix your plateau. And it's not always changing the workout. Very often it's changing, the weak links in the chain, as I just mentioned. All right, what do we got? Well, we're actually over the hour, so I'm going to get ready and include this up shortly, but I'll scroll through the questions that are there and see if there's any other ones. That plateau one was a good question. I appreciate you for asking that, Joe. And you know what? I'll probably even break that up into a separate video on its own, because I think there's some good nuggets in there. Good ones that I want to share. Buff Canuck saying that's the mistake I made early on in my fitness journey. I relied heavily on supplements instead of diet, sleep, etc. Yeah, you're not alone with that, right? A lot of people are on that one. Does it matter if you train biceps or triceps first? I like to alternate them. So if I'm training arms, I will do a bicep exercise and a tricep exercise, and I'll alternate them back and forth. And it's personal preference if you want to start with triceps first and then biceps, but usually I kind of, more often than not, I'll do biceps, triceps, and I'll alternate them exercise for exercise. Sometimes I'll even alternate them set for set, if you can do so. And it depends on the gym and how busy it is and whether you can hog 2 pieces of equipment at one time. But if you can do that, then alternating them in a set for set, or at the very least exercise for exercise, would be the better solution there, because you actually will be able to handle heavier weight, and you'll get a killer pump in the arms as well, right? Because while your biceps are working, your triceps are resting. And then while your triceps are working, your biceps are resting. Versus if you do to stack all your bicep exercises together and then stack all your tricep exercises together, if you alternate them, you'll actually prolong your strength over the course of the workout and be able to handle more weight, more intensity over the duration of the workout, because you're pacing it out and spacing it out. So, and plus it's really cool to have a bicep and tricep pump simultaneously, right? It just feels cool and looks cool. So I would do them alternate. What else we got there? Any tips, any sleep tips? I think I made a full video covering some sleep strategies versus me rehashing that video. I'm going to just share the link to that now. So I'm going to find that one for you. It's up on the Total Fitness Bodybuilding YouTube channel. Let me see if I can find it for you, and I'll share the link. Yeah, there's one called Trouble Sleeping. Try these natural sleep aids. That was a video I made a while back. Yep. All right. I'm going to just share that link for you there. That's one that it's an older video. It still works. It's still applicable today. All right. So I'm just going to grab the link to that and post it there in the chat window for you. So share that. So I just say sleep tips video. I'll just call it, and you'll know what it means. So you can go check that one out when I clue this one up. That's a big one. I mean, I find as people get older, sleep becomes a big issue, right? And I'm just thinking to myself, like when I was younger, my head hit the pillow when I was out like a light. And my son now, like my 8-year-old son, Harvey, he could be running around, like, I don't want to go to sleep. I don't want to go to sleep. I'm too excited, blah, 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 blah. And then once you actually do get him in the bed and the head hits the pillow, he's out like a light. And I'm like, shit, I wish I could do that. Right. Because I just can't turn it on and off. Like, I mean, sometimes I'll be, lying in the bed and like, I'm tired. I should be falling asleep right now. But, you probably got a lot on your mind, and it's just hard to sometimes unwind. So one tip that I want to share with you, in addition to that video I just posted, I just want to share this. This is probably the most powerful tip, is you want to set a bedtime alarm. Very often we set alarms when we got to wake up in the morning, like, hey, if I got to be up at 5 a.m., I'll set my alarm, and so make sure that I'm getting my ass out of bed on time. But you want to do it in reverse. So a reverse alarm. So let's just say you want to be in bed by 10 p.m. or sleep by 10 p.m. Set it at 9 p.m. Set yourself an alarm on your phone or whatever you're using. Set an alarm for an hour before, and that's when you're going to start your bedtime routine. So, an hour before bed, you're going to turn off all electronic devices, right? You're going to dim the lights. You're going to start to unwind and prepare yourself for sleep. You get a shower or a hot bath or whatever that you want to do, to kind of like start the bedtime routine an hour before, and then give yourself time to, kind of like declutter from the day. Because a problem that a lot of people make is they're stimulating their brain right up until the point where they go to bed. So they say, like, I want to be in bed by 10 p.m. and they're on their phone, they're watching TV, they're fully stimulated, they got the music playing or whatever, like everything is blue, 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 stimulation galore, lights full on, and then they expect to just be able to turn that off and go to bed. No, it can't happen like that. Like, it takes a while, especially the older you get, to turn that off. So I always like to start my bedtime routine at least an hour before I plan to go to bed. And I find that is very powerful. That helps a lot. Another one, practical tip as well, if you're consuming caffeine, coffee, energy drinks, pre-workouts, whatever, do not consume that within 6 hours of your bedtime, right? Like, you want to get that caffeine out of the system, or at least, diluted in the system. Like, caffeine, I believe, has a half-life of 6 hours, I think. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong on that, but a Google search will tell you. But bottom line, at least 6 hours before you go to bed, you don't want to have any caffeine in your system, or maybe even earlier. Like, I know some people who are sensitive to caffeine, they say, like, no caffeine in the PM. Like, I'll only have caffeine in the AM. And, I try to do that myself, or very least early PM. Like, I sometimes might have a coffee like 1 or 2 o'clock in the day, but I try not to go any longer than that or later than that, because I find if I have caffeine later in the day, it's too stimulating and it can hinder my sleep. So that's another big one that'll certainly help with the sleep. Zinc and magnesium can certainly help as well. It helps to relax the body and promote restful sleep. Another one that I've used as well, supplementing with GABA, GABA. It's an amino acid supplement, GABA. That helps to relax the body and helps to relax the mind as well. You can take that before you go to bed, and it can kind of, especially if you are the type of person, you got a lot on your mind, and like you're lying in bed staring at the ceiling and your mind is going a mile a minute. If you're that type of person, supplementing with GABA can just help to promote relaxation, and it might help you to get a better, more restful night's sleep. So that's another one that I'll sometimes use. And as a side benefit, it's also good for helping to release natural growth hormone as well. So when you get a good night's sleep, deep sleep, that's when your body releases the highest concentration of natural growth hormone, and GABA can help to release that as well. So those are a couple tips. But again, check out that video that I posted as well, because it goes into some more strategies, and that should help to get you on the right track for a restful night's sleep. Do you think there are any exercises that older adults, 55 plus, shouldn't do? That really depends on the individual. Like, I know some people who are in their 50s who are in better shape than guys in their 20s, and they're more athletic and can do stuff. So we can't just blanket and paint everybody with the same brush and say, hey, you're over 55, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. Some guys are in their 50s and are, built like a unit. Like, they're incredible shape and they can do amazing things. And then there's some guys in their 20s and 30s who are in shit shape, and they can't run the length of themselves and can't even do a push-up. So it depends on the individual and their own fitness level, right? When it comes to age, I mean, generally speaking, yes, the older you get, your body's going to start to deteriorate, and you're not going to have the same level of strength and athleticism as you get older. But a lot of that is lifestyle related. And I mean, like, exercise, nutrition, and lifestyle habits can cause people to age more than others. Because if you're living a healthy lifestyle, like you're eating healthy, you're taking care of yourself, you're exercising regularly, you're not consuming alcohol or substances that are deteriorating to your body. If you take care of yourself, like, the whole aging process doesn't happen as quickly. versus people who drink and smoke and don't exercise and eat like crap, and like all the things that you can do wrong, they're doing it. And I mean, I got friends, family, and neighbors and people I know. Like, do they drink? Yep. Do they smoke? Yep. Do they not exercise? Yep. Like, do they eat like shit? Yep. Are they overweight? Yep. Like, all the things that you can do wrong, like, check, 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 check. You got it. And those are the people who are in their 50s or older, and they're like, oh man, my back hurts, my knees hurt, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, and oh, this hurts, and I got aches and pains. And then other people who I know who are exercising, eating healthy, taking care of themselves, don't drink, don't smoke, don't do any, harmful substances, and lives a healthy total fitness bodybuilding lifestyle. And they're out there, I mean, heck, they're more athletic than most kids are these days. So again, you just can't say because you're a certain age you can't do something, right? It really depends on the individual, right? And one thing I just want to say this again, I have so much respect, and it's so cool when I see people who are in their 50s and beyond and are able to do stuff, live life to the fullest without having their body holding them back. I mean, that is so cool, right? When you see people, like, especially when people are retired and they're able to do stuff like go on vacations and travel and be active, not just wheeling themselves around in a wheelchair and a walker or whatever. Like, they can actually get out there and go hiking and cycling and swimming and adventuring or skydiving, like all this crazy cool stuff, and do so in their later years, without having to worry about their body holding them back. I mean, that's so cool, and I got mad respect for people who are able to do that. All right. Well, guys, I'm going to get ready and clue this up. I mean, I know when I get the gift of gab going, I can go on and on and on. And then there's still a lot of questions coming through here. But I'm going to get ready and clue it up because I've been yakking away here for over an hour and 20 minutes. And I normally promise an hour, but as the regulars know, I have a tendency to over deliver, right? or over yak, if you will. But if I didn't get to your question, I just want to let you know, if there's anything that you would like to chat about, like, feel free to reach out to me. Like, you can email me, you can send me a message over on Facebook, you can send me a message over on Instagram. I'm active there, or just plain old email. That works as well. My contact information is down in the show notes below this video. So if you would like to reach out to me, feel free to do so, and I'd be more than happy to chat to you through Messenger or email. And in the meantime, if you haven't already done so, make sure to download a copy of the Muscle After 40 Blueprint PDF. This outlines the system that I personally use, as well as my coaching students, to help build muscle, lose fat, and achieve a body recomposition in your 40s and beyond. So if you're in your 40s and beyond and you want to achieve a body recomposition and live life to the fullest without having your body holding you back, download a copy of that Muscle After 40 Blueprint PDF. And that outlines the full system that we use, me and my coaching students, to achieve a body recomposition and do so while enjoying our lives in the process, without feeling like a slave to the gym or feeling like you're starving yourself and going hangry and hungry and, dreading the process. We actually do so while enjoying the process. And that's what I want for you as well. All right. So if you haven't already done so, download a copy of that. Again, links and all that down in the show notes below. And I'm going to get ready and clue it up. And I'll be back here again next week with another live Q&A. So have yourself a great weekend, and happy Mother's Day to any mommies who happen to be tuning into our video chat. And for those of you who are going to be visiting your mother on Mother's Day, happy Mother's Day, and have yourself a great one. Take care. Over and out.